Chapter 3. Mr. Sheng, save me. The entire secretary team under the chairman of Shengfang Biotech had been walking on eggshells for days. No one dared slip up, afraid of being used as an example by the young chairman, whose mood was as low as it had ever been. The genetic scissors application technology research and development team had suffered countless rounds of scolding from Sheng Shaoyou over the past few days. The team leader, an elderly man to begin with, looked visibly more aged after these few stressful days. The old team leader knew Sheng Shaoyou was anxious, and he was just as anxious himself. Scientific research was grueling work. Each year, it burned through tens of billions, a bottomless pit of investment with seemingly distant results. Anyone would feel anxious. Although the patent protection period for genetic scissors still had 5 years left, Sheng Shaoyou's urgency was certainly not a case of unnecessary worry. In Shengfang Biotech's financial reports, over 40% of the annual profits came from genetic scissors and related patent derivatives. If there were no breakthroughs in the technical level, once the original patent expired, Shengfang Biotech, as a listed company, would struggle to maintain its revenue and satisfy its investors. Thus, the responsibility placed on the research team was immense and they had a long way to go. Ever since being rejected by Sheng Wenlang, Sheng Shaoyou had issued an ultimatum: Shengfang Biotech must conquer the application challenges of genetic scissors in the shortest possible time. A troublesome friend of his, Li Baiqiao, chose this exact moment to call him, asking him to meet at Royandi, one of Jianghu's most luxurious and extravagant money-squandering entertainment places for the rich. Not going, Sheng Shaoyou said curtly, having no interest in socializing or fooling around. You are not coming. Then don't blame me later for not giving you a heads up. Li Baiqiao said mysteriously, rumor has it that the young boss of X Holdings might show up tonight. I remember you've always wanted to connect with X Holdings, haven't you? X Holdings, previously known as Beicha Holdings, was headquartered in Country P back in late 18th century. Beicha rose to power through arms trading and smuggling, but later transformed into a globally renowned life sciences company. Not only had it made significant contributions to the medical and agricultural fields, but it also monopolized the production technology of pheromone inhibitors worldwide. Its wholly owned investment subsidiaries had an extensive scope, ranging from traditional industries like hotels and real estate to early ventures into streaming media platforms. 2 years ago, Beicha Holdings underwent a major reshuffle. Now, the one in charge was the illegitimate son of the previous head. Rumor had it that this new leader was very young. It was under his direction that Beicha Holdings upgraded and expanded into a colossal global empire. But he was eccentric, notoriously low profile, and aside from his close confidants, no one knew what he looked like. After stabilizing his position, the first thing he did was inexplicably change Beicha Holdings' name to X. Under his leadership, X Holdings now reigns supreme in the global life sciences sector, raking in profits through numerous investments. Even the lucrative arms trade was thriving under his watch. The company was unquestionably at the peak of its power, truly unparalleled. The headquarters of X Holdings was located in Country P, a nation where capitalism reigns supreme. There, the boundaries between politics and business were virtually non-existent, and collaborations were frequent, with benefits flowing both ways. Within Country P, the X family was an undeniable force to be reckoned with, possessing wealth beyond measure, rivaling that of a nation, and wielding unparalleled influence that seemed capable of covering the sky with a single hand. In their social circles, sycophantic friends endlessly sang praises of the mysterious new head of X Holdings, claiming that the name X symbolized mystery, perfectly aligned with the enigmatic nature of its leader, who never revealed his true face. Though Sheng Shaoyou never openly refuted such attempts to save face, he privately dismissed the new head of X Holdings as nothing more than a self-indulgent idiot. Young, an illegitimate heir, inheriting immense wealth and power, refusing to meet outsiders, with an eccentric personality, the current head of X Holdings, embodying every element a gossip-worthy figure should have, had long become an enduring and popular topic in the second-generation circles. According to insiders, this illegitimate son was ruthless and cunning, a top-tier genius with a remarkable mind. It was said he had effortlessly crushed the other idiotic sons of the old head, claiming his place at the top. Unfortunately, he was allegedly hideous in appearance, leading to extreme introversion and a refusal to reveal his true face to the world. Sheng Shaoyou had always despised illegitimate offsprings who schemed their way to power. Rats from the gutter should stay in the gutter. Even if a salted fish manages to flip over, it's still just a salted fish. An illegitimate child, no matter how high they climb, would forever skulk in the shadows, always unfit for the spotlight. Yet, at this moment, deeply concerned about Xingfang Biotech's future development, Sheng Shaoyou had to admit he was tempted by Li Baiqiao's words. After much hesitation, he ultimately decided to attend the meeting. He was someone who kept personal feelings separate from business. When necessary, he wouldn't just work with an illegitimate child, if there was profit to be gained. Even a cat could strike a deal with a mouse. Not long ago, the spokesperson for X Holdings announced that they were seeking partners in Jianghu to establish a central factory focused on researching and producing new pheromone-related products. X Holdings was a world leader in diagnostics and medical technology, but it had always adhered to its old-fashioned family-run operations, never engaging in deep collaborations with outsiders. As the leading figure in Jianghu's biotech sector, Sheng Shaoyou was determined to claim this rare opportunity for partnership. He was willing to do whatever it took. Jianghu City, adorned with steel, concrete, and organic glass, swayed between the silence of office towers and the clamor of its bar streets at night. It resembled a bizarre creature wearing half a mask, seductive yet grotesque. The bewitching nightscape skillfully dragged those who had spent the day scrambling for survival into a delirious abyss of decadence that lasted until dawn. Damn it! Sheng Shaoyou set down his wine glass, his gaze indifferent as he looked at the men and women in the dance floor, regretting having trusted Li Baiqiao's nonsense and wasting his time watching a bunch of fools drink and go wild. Anyone with half a brain could figure out that the rumor about X Holdings' mysterious and ugly recluse showing up here to party was utterly unreliable. The friend who had previously introduced Sheng Shaoyou to Shen Wenlang also happened to hold shares in Tiandi Hui. Spotting Sheng Shaoyou, who had been tied up with overtime and absent from such scenes for ages, he was overjoyed and promptly pulled him in for several rounds of drinks. Hey, why hasn't Mr. UKW from X Holdings shown up? Halfway through the drinking, Li Baiqiao, the organizer of the gathering, suddenly asked. What IJKW? Sheng Shaoyou replied, annoyed at having wasted an entire evening. You know, the guy who has X Holdings under his thumb. Who rules over B country like a god, but never shows his face in public. Li Baiqiao waggled his eyebrows and gave him a conspiratorial grin. You know who? How the hell will I know why he didn't come? Sheng Shaoyou shoved Li Baiqiao's hand off his shoulder. I've got things to do. I'm leaving. Don't go. Stay a little longer. Everyone present was a group of friends who hadn't seen each other for a long time. Though he was seething with frustration, Sheng Shaoyou still gave his old friend some face and stayed until 1 o'clock. Seeing that everyone had almost drunk their fill, he stood up to leave. A thoroughly inebriated Li Baiqiao grabbed his arm, refusing to let him go. Sheng Shaoyou mercilessly pulled his arm away, shaking his friend off as if shaking off a piece of sticky taffy. If you're leaving, fine. But at least finish another glass of whiskey first. The drunken Li Baiqiao declared, sprawling on the sofa with his legs wide open. The pretty Omega sitting on his lap immediately wrapped their arms around his neck, demanding a kiss. As Li Baiqiao tasted the Omega's lips, his hands wandered skillfully to the thigh of another Omega seated nearby. Several young and beautiful Omegas sat beside Sheng Shaoyou as well, but he had always been averse to anything unclean, so none of them dared to touch him without his permission. They sensibly kept a respectful distance of at least half a meter. Sheng Shaoyou picked up the glass on the table and drank it all in front of them. Only then did Li Baiqiao reluctantly let him go, though he couldn't resist teasing him as he did. Haven't been out to have fun in ages, and you're going home alone tonight too. Sheng Shaoyou gave him a faint, inscrutable smile but didn't respond. That guy, indulging in left and right embraces himself, still had the nerve to worry that Sheng Shaoyou might endure long, lonely nights without a warm pillow. Ever since Sheng Shaoyou differentiated as an S-level alpha, there had never been a shortage of desirable bedmates around him. But he never picked anyone from places of debauchery because he found them beneath him. His father's infidelity, his mother's unwavering devotion, and their final tragic parting had left Sheng Shaoyou with no faith in love and a deep disdain for fidelity. The faithless spread their seeds recklessly, while the faithful perish tragically. This had been a truth of the world since ancient times. For years, people had come and gone in Sheng Shaoyou's life, but none had ever truly stayed. Emotionally, he was ruthless. Yet his exceptionally high, Pheromone levels and prominent social standing ensured that many well-qualified Omegas would willingly throw themselves at him, one after another, like fish crossing a river. Stepping out of the VIP room, the hallway was bustling and loud. A crude and unmannered alpha customer was forcefully dragging a young Omega server into his private room. From behind, the Omega's figure was tall and slender, with beautifully shaped limbs. The porcelain-like glow on the back of his pale neck suggested he was likely a top-tier beauty, utterly mismatched with the pig-headed and brutish alpha. Such blatant coercion was disgraceful. Sheng Shaoyou halted his steps. The Omega, dressed in Tiandi Hui's silver uniform, seemed utterly unprepared for guests' unwanted advances. Fear and panic flashed in his eyes as he clung desperately to the doorframe, refusing to go in. "I'm sorry, I only deliver drinks, I don't accompany guests." He kept explaining, his voice trembling as he tried to escape the situation, but the drunken alpha, emboldened by his liquor-fueled bravado, cared nothing for such refusals. Wrapping an arm around the slender waist before him and attempting to pull the Omega closer, he slurred, Don't worry, someone as gorgeous as you, I'll pay handsomely. Way above market price. Little beauty, just name your price, I've got plenty of money." "No." The alpha curled his lips into a cocky, self-assured grin. "Stop pretending to be so reserved. Don't refuse a favor when it's being handed to you." He leaned in closer, his ambiguous breath teasing as it brushed against the Omega's nape. With his pig-like face pressed near the Omega's delicate and stunning ear, he whispered, "Baby, take a good sniff. I'm an A-level alpha. Say no now, but soon enough, I guarantee you'll be weak on your knees, begging for me." The thick wave of pheromones maliciously released by the alpha made the poor Omega tremble even more. Yet despite his obvious terror, the Omega continued to resist, insisting, "I don't want to." Omegas were soft, fragile, meant to be cherished and held with care. Sheng Shaoyou had always held the utmost contempt for scum who used their alpha glands as an excuse to bully Omegas. His brows furrowed as he stepped forward with long, purposeful strides. At that moment, the Omega lifted his head. Upon seeing him, the Omega's eyes lit up instantly, like a drowning man grasping at his last lifeline. In a panicked, tearful voice, he called out to him, Mr. Sheng. Save me." Only then did Sheng Shaoyou finally see the Omega's face. His steps faltered for a moment before he strode even faster. This pitiful little wretch was none other than Hua Yong. The moment Sheng Shaoyou approached, Hua Yong immediately reached out and clung desperately to his arm. A soothing, crisp scent of pheromones wafted to Sheng Shaoyou's nose, penetrating straight to his heart. It was subtle yet compelling, like a feather brushing across the nape of his neck, stirring an unspoken itch that seemed to hold countless emotions within. The desperate plea for help in Hua Yong's moist eyes struck Sheng Shaoyou's heart like a hypnotic, relentless bolt of lightning. This time, Sheng Shaoyou didn't shake him off. Instead, he lowered his gaze coldly toward the hand gripping Hua Yong's waist. The pig-headed alpha, though a guest at Tiandi Hui, was seated in a standard VIP room with a minimum spend of 15,000 yuan, a far cry from Sheng Shaoyou's level. Noticing Sheng Shaoyou's sharp, handsome features, his polished attire, and the way the beautiful Omega server addressed him as Mr. Sheng, the alpha hesitated, unsure of Sheng Shaoyou's background. He cleared his throat and asked boldly, "Who the hell are you?" "No one." The lights illuminated Sheng Shaoyou's deep black eyes, making them gleam brightly. His thin lips, partially hidden in the shadows, revealed only a straight, cold line. "Let go," he said icily. In the pig-headed alpha's understanding, anyone truly influential or formidable always liked to announce their identity. Sheng Shaoyou's refusal to reveal his background immediately pegged him as some idle nobody trying to play the hero and steal his prize. The pig-headed alpha gritted his teeth and shouted angrily, "Elle won't." His chubby hand gripped Hua Yong's slender waist even tighter as he brazenly declared, "Everything has to follow the rule of first come, first served. I saw this Omega first. And I'm going to sleep with him tonight. You want him? Wait your turn after I'm done. Line up behind me." Hua Yong visibly stiffened, his feet deepening. His delicate lips pressed tightly together, though he surprisingly didn't cry. However, his fragile show of strength didn't last long. Humiliated by the pig-headed alpha right in front of Sheng Shaoyou, the young Omega's shame was unbearable. His eyes gradually grew wet, tears welling up and filling his gaze until they threatened to spill over. Sheng Shaoyou found it intriguing. Every time they met, Hua Yong was always being wronged. And here he was again, his reddened eyes, brimming with tears yet unwilling to fall, created a heart-wrenchingly beautiful sight. Sheng Shaoyou enjoyed watching him cry. Hua Yong clung tighter to Sheng Shaoyou's arm, afraid the man would believe the customer's vulgar words and abandon him. His voice choked with sobs as he explained. "Mr. Sheng, I only came to deliver the drinks. I don't do those kinds of things, don't do." The pig-headed alpha sneered like he just heard a joke. "An Omega working in nightclub, claiming not to provide extra services? Stop pretending to be so pure. I can't stand those who act like a whore yet still claims to be chaste." Before he could finish, the pig-headed alpha's expression suddenly turned very ugly. A ferocious wave of pheromones surged toward him, dominating and oppressive, brimming with the arrogance and authority of an alpha who stood at the top of the hierarchy. The pig-headed alpha abruptly released Hua Yong's waist and instead clutched at his own chest. Struggling for breath, he felt a chilling sense of suffocation crawl up his spine and grip his scalp. No matter how hard he tried to resist, it was futile. Completely losing control over his body, he collapsed pathetically onto the cold marble floor, like a helpless prey caught by the throat in the jaws of an enraged predator. SS-level alpha. The words were forced out with great difficulty amidst overwhelming fear. The alpha's pride compelled him to grit his teeth and choke back any plea for mercy, yet instinct had him groveling on the ground, adopting a posture of submission and supplication to the absolute superior before him. Sheng Shaoyou, who had just unleashed the oppressive wave of his pheromones, looked down at him with not a ripple of emotion in his eyes. From afar, Sheng Shaoyou had already discerned that this arrogant and rude guy was merely an A-level alpha, merely an A-level. If low-grade alphas were like discounted dead fish sold at wet markets, then A-level alphas were no better than cheap fish kept in supermarket aquariums. But S-level alphas? They were like the ultra-premium fish sold at Tsukiji Market's midnight auctions, rare, unparalleled, and available only to buyers with impeccable records and the expertise to bid for such exclusive goods. The difference between their levels was simply too vast. Rather than calling it pheromone suppression, it would be more accurate to call it pheromone bullying. Unlike the alpha now groveling pathetically on the floor, Sheng Shaoyou had no interest in bullying the weak. If this guy hadn't tried to assault someone first, Sheng Shaoyou wouldn't have bothered to teach him a lesson in humility. But honestly, how could he be so weak? He'd released only a hint of his pheromones. And this guy already looked like he was on the verge of death. Abusing his strength to overwhelm the weak was boring. Sheng Shaoyou retracted his pheromones, lifting his chin as he gazed at the alpha curled on the ground. In a low voice, he ordered, "Apologize." The suffocating pressure from just a few seconds ago had been utterly terrifying. The pig-headed alpha had to summon every ounce of self-control not to roll on the ground and beg for his life. Panting heavily, he sat on the floor and gritted his teeth before reluctantly conceding, "Sorry, man. I overstepped, not to me." Sheng Shaoyou cut him off. To him, the pig-headed alpha's face twisted with even greater humiliation. "You're asking me to apologize to a gigolo? I'm not." Hua Yong stammered. "I'm just a waiter, not. He seemed to struggle to say the words, his expression flickering with extreme embarrassment. "Not selling yourself? Then why are you dressed like this?" The alpha's gaze swept disdainfully over Hua Yong's abdomen. The uniforms of waitstaff at Tian Di Hui were specially designed. The buttons at the waist and abdomen were always loose and would reveal a glimpse of skin with just a slight movement. Following the alpha's gaze, Sheng Shaoyou's eyes landed on the exposed sliver of Hua Yong's stomach. It was flat and fair, but unlike the imagined softness of a fragile figure, Hua Yong was far from being a delicate, frail type. His abdomen was covered with a thin layer of muscle, forming beautiful, defined lines that were hard to look away from. The alpha's lecherous stare was too offensive. Sheng Shaoyou's indifferent expression gradually darkened with annoyance as he asked coldly, "Do I need to teach you how to say sorry too?" The alpha, who had just been taught a humiliating lesson on how to behave, choked on his words. He didn't dare retort, but neither did he want to apologize to what he thought was a promiscuous escort. He was merely drunk, lust-driven, and looking to have fun with a supposedly easy Omega. What was so wrong with that? Why should he apologize? The alpha clenched his jaw tightly, veins bulging on the backs of his fists as he gritted his teeth. Meanwhile, the alpha's friends, who had been watching from a distance when he grabbed at Hua Yong, hesitated to intervene when Sheng Shaoyou stepped in and began to take things seriously. The overwhelming presence of an S-level alpha's pheromones had kept them confined to their private room. Only now did they dare peek out from behind the door, attempting to mediate verbally. "Hey, we're all just here to have fun. No need to take things too seriously." "Yeah, exactly. It's not worth it over an escort." Sheng Shaoyou ignored their attempts to defuse the situation. With his hands in his pockets, he lightly kicked the alpha's shoulder with the tip of his shoe, urging the alpha, who was slumped on the ground and too scared to move. "Apologize," he said. His disdainful gaze was like that of someone looking at a cockroach playing dead on the floor. That A-level alpha, firmly suppressed by the remnants of Sheng Shaoyou's S-level pheromones, yet he still made a desperate struggle. Surrounded by so many friends watching, he didn't want to lose any more face. Gritting his teeth, he feigned strength despite his weakened state. "How could I possibly apologize to a filthy gigolo? To hell with it." Asking him, an A-level alpha, to apologize to an Omega who would throw himself into someone's arms and go weak at the knees the moment he got a whiff of pheromones? Dream on. Overestimating himself. Sheng Shaoyou frowned. The pheromone scent that had been dissipating instantly surged back powerfully. The raging, domineering presence of S-level pheromones filled the entire corridor, violently wreaking havoc. That feeling of having his lifeline gripped by another returned, like someone who couldn't swim being forcibly shoved into a turbulent and raging sea. The alpha clutched his chest in agony, his face twisted in despair. Help me. Someone save him." Damn it. He was about to drown.